Welcome to Built to Finish. I'm your host, Stephen Pivnik. Join me each week as we explore the journeys of audacious goal setters. This includes experienced founders, CEOs, and entrepreneurs sharing pivotal moments that propel their success. We'll also be talking with endurance athletes who push the limits of physical and mental ability. This show is brought to you by Acresis, offering tailored, high-impact advisory services to help founders get to their finish line with a strategic acquisition or majority investor recapitalization. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Built to Finish podcast. Today's guest has grown and exited several businesses. Since then, he has guided hundreds of CEOs to profound business and profit growth across multiple industries. Leaders wanting to grow to the next level seek his insights into CEO effectiveness. He is also the author of 2 bestsellers, a podcast host, and a public speaker. Lastly, he is the founder and CEO of the CEO Project. Jim Schleckser, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Stephen. Great to be here.
I'm speaking with you again. Last time you and I spoke, it was from Everest Base Camp. Good to be at sea level where I can actually breathe.
Oh my God, yeah. I actually saw an article the other day about these guys trying to do a high-speed ascent. Did you see this?
I have not yet.
Oh, they're a bunch of German guys that are sleeping hypoxic and all this other stuff they're doing. And then they're going to breathe xenon on the way up, which apparently is a performance enhancer. And they're going to try to summit in 4 days.
That's sick.
No, we'll see if they live, frankly. It's just nutsy cuckoo. So
it's just amazing that, summiting Everest isn't enough anymore. Now people want to do it in record time and ski down, the hardest parts of it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, with no supplemental oxygen, right? Just out of their minds. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, crazy. Well, you're going to get up there. Just it didn't happen this time. It'll happen next time.
It's still on my bucket list. I will go back. I just don't know when. But thanks for the support. We'll do another podcast on my next visit there.
I love it. Hopefully, I'm not the bad luck charm.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I want to start off by talking about your first book.
Yeah.
Great CEOs are lazy. And you came up with this, concept of the lazy CEO to really leverage effectiveness. So can you talk about that a little bit and what you mean by lazy CEO?
Yeah. Well, and the title's designed to be provocative so that people read the book. But when you read into it, what really good CEOs do is they are not working 80 hours a week. And I really came to me when I was interviewing CEOs for potential membership in the CEO Project. And one of the questions we'd ask is, how many hours a week are you working? And this was when we were really in the office mostly. And the good ones that go, I don't know, 50, 55. I mean, it's not a 40-hour a week job. There are others that go 80, 90. I'm like, are you doing an acquisition? No, that's my number. And what it told me was they were not in control of their time and they were not focusing their time to get maximum results. So took sort of that, qualitative data and added it to the theory developed by a guy named Eli Goldratt. He was an Israeli physicist, developed this general systems theory, which is called the theory of constraints. And the idea is in any system you can name, any system, there's a point of constraint that controls the performance of the whole system. So the simple example is the garden hose. Kink in the hose controls the performance of the entire hose. I got to go find the kink and open it up. Well, since it's a general systems theory, it's true of every business. So what the really good ones were doing, they didn't say it this way, but this is what they did. They go, I need to figure out where the kink in the hose is in my business. And then I'm going to spend 30, 40% of my time on it. And I know that is the most valuable work I can do. Everything else is kind of less valuable, materially less valuable, actually, in terms of growing my business. And so they suppressed all that or delegated or got rid of it or whatever. And so they look lazy because they're only working kind of normal-ish hours. They're not working 80 hours a week, but yet they're getting amazing results. And so that was sort of the secret that's in the book is find the kink, open it up. So that's it. That's what the good ones do.
Great title, great book. And it's amazing. Just a quick shout out to how effective social media is these days. Your sales went through the roof for 1 month last year.
Yeah.
Just because one of these, entrepreneurial, random interviewers asked somebody what they attribute their success to. And he had a copy of your book in his car.
Yeah. No, this was a School of Hard Knocks. He goes up to guys that are millionaires and women that are millionaires. And this Onye is the name of the guy. I now know him pretty well. He climbs out of his Rolls Royce and he says, well, I got rich because I learned how to delegate. And he goes, I read this book called Great CEOs Are Lazy. And I learned about the 70% rule of delegation, meaning if somebody's 70% good enough, you delegate it to them. And he says, I've become a master delegator, and that's how I became wealthy. They flashed the book up on the screen. I did not know this was happening, but all of a sudden sales went insane. And I'm like, people started sending me the video. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, maybe this video and the are connected. And it was. And it went for actually went for almost 3-4 months. Went right back up to the bestsellers on all of Amazon. I mean, if
That's
you don't
amazing.
believe in viral marketing, I'm here to tell you. If I could figure out a way to get that to happen again, it'd be awesome.
I was giving you a ton of credit because I watch that guy all the time on social media. And when I
Yeah.
saw your book, I'm like, oh my God, Jim is so cool. I can't believe he staged that. That's fantastic. You had nothing to do with it.
Not nearly that smart. Sorry to report. wish I wish I could have organized that. Yeah.
For all the influencers listening, pick up a copy of Built to Finish, my book. Help that go viral.
Yeah, and great CEOs are lazy. Do both. But the book is 10 years old. It still sells significantly every month. It is, and it's sold over 100,000 copies. I mean, it's a pretty solid bestseller at this point. Over
Yeah, I
the
mean, listen,
decade.
a lot, all the principles in it are as applicable today as they were when you first came out with it.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned delegation and the art of delegation. I think many first-time founders have a hard time with this. And your philosophy is if somebody is 70% good enough to delegate a task to, you should. How do you help perfectionist founders, CEOs get over that? Because people are like, you know what, if I need it done right, I need to do it myself. And unless it's 100%, I'm not going to delegate. How do you help people get over that?
Well, the first concept you have to wrap your head around is that you can do that. You just won't grow your business. I mean, I think liken it to like the old timey switchboard operators, and generally it was women in those days, but they would, hello, Mr. Smith, and they'd connect the little plug to Mr. Smith's phone and so forth. Well, imagine that person can do, 100 phone calls an hour, whatever the number is. Well, what happens when there's an opportunity to do 200 or 400 calls? The answer is only 100 are getting through. So if you are micromanaging and you're involved in every key decision and every key project, you can only do 100 an hour or whatever your number is. That's as big as your business is going to get. Unless you find a way to delegate the other 300 phone calls to other people, so to speak, you're not growing anymore. And so I think the other thing, so that's one, is it's a decision. You can maintain control and limit growth. That is actually an okay decision. A growth-oriented person would say not so much, but if your control is more important than growth, great decision. But the other side of it is say, look, when you delegate aggressively, and 70% is designed to give perfectionists permission to say close enough. Like they never knew quite when to delegate. They have to be as good as I am. Well, here's the problem. As a CEO, you're kind of exceptional. Like you're either super smart or super driven or really good at marketing, or whatever your thing is. You're not normal, most of us. No, you're not. I mean, otherwise, you
No,
wouldn't be.
I wear that with pride. Not
Yeah,
normal.
not normal, right? And so to use the standard, they got to be as good as I am is an inappropriate standard. Like that's way too high a mark. They're normal human beings. We're normal, smart, and normal motivated, and they don't own the company, by the way. So 70% is to give you permission to delegate. But here's the other thing. When people hear delegation, they think abrogation. Like I sent it away and I'll never see it again. But that's not what we mean. There are levels of delegation that you need to think about. So at the lowest level, it might be, hey, Stephen, go check this out. Come back to me. Let's have a talk. I'll decide what we're going to do. So I've outsourced the research, right? Then it might be, hey, Stephen, go check this out. Come up with a plan. Come to me. I'll discuss it with you. And then I'll decide if we want to go that way or not. Now you've developed a plan. Up to, hey, Stephen, go research. Come up with a plan. Tell me what you want to do. I'll give you a yes or no. Up to research. Come up with a plan. Let me know what you're going to do. If I don't say no, just go do it. To, hey, go do it and just let me know what happened.
Mhm.
And then to the highest level, we think of as delegation, take it and I'll never see it again. And that makes us really nervous. So what we tell people is like, you got to think about context. What's the risk level of the project, high or low? What's the experience level of the person, high or low? So low experience, high risk, we don't delegate very aggressively. High experience, low risk, just send it away, man. Like let them go. High risk, high experience, I still might want to have a look at it before they go, like changing the name of the company. I'd want to have a look at that before they rock and roll, right? The what food are we going to serve at the company picnic? Guys, just decide. I don't care, right? So that's the trick is that delegation isn't absolute. It's shades of gray. And then get them to 70, do the shades of gray, and then work them up the levels of delegation as they get better at the job. But that's not how people think about it, unfortunately.
That's really great advice. I know a lot of people have problems with delegation, and hopefully the framework that you just shared is going to help them get to the next level there.
Well, and you did the ultimate delegation, right? When you were getting ready to sell your company, you literally took the CEO job and gave it to somebody else, which is that's a ninja level move, man. I mean, like that is not a lot of people would have the guts to do that when you grew the company from nothing, right?
I love that. Yeah, we did start from nothing, and I've never referred to that as a ninja move, but I'm gonna pat myself on my own back and say that was the best ninja move I ever made. And you know what? Probably one of the scariest decisions of my life.
My
Here
point.
I am, like running my baby for the last, at that time it was 23 years,
Mm.
and I gave over complete control of day-to-day operations to somebody else.
Yeah.
It took a lot. Well, it just shows how much I liked and trusted the individual. So a great amount of due diligence went into that move, but it was a big act of delegation.
Yeah, but he was super high skill, seasoned CEO, got it, knew it. It wasn't a newbie you were giving it to. Even then, it was a high risk decision. I'm sure you checked in on him here and there just to be sure. But
He respected me tremendously, which is also the advice I'm going to give folks that are considering doing something similar. And most decisions based on your methodology, it was just like, set it, forget it, you got this. But the higher risk decisions, we sat down for sometimes days, to go over the pros and cons and the ifs and ands on those. And only after I approved them did he go and execute. But those were on the big, big, big ticket
yeah,
items.
but even then, you didn't go to the highest level of just take care of it for everything. You were selective about how you handled it, which I think is the point here.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So the other interesting top comment I hear you make is the secret to lose-lose negotiating. What do you mean by lose-lose negotiating?
Yeah, and actually I have a book coming out in January on negotiating, which with Onye, the guy who climbed out of that Rolls Royce.
Really?
We wrote a book on negotiating. So
Holy cow, that is fantastic. That's
coming
great
out
to
in
hear.
January. So people talk about win-win negotiating, and that is not always possible. In other words, there is a put and a take. Whenever there's a put, there's a take. And so a lot of what I talk about in the book, and I have a different style than Onye, which is fine. He's a little more dominant in his model. My model is more creative and collaborative, and they both work, by the way. So I'm not saying he's wrong or I'm right, they both work. And we wanted to show different ways of approaching it so people can get into it. But when negotiating, I think the big thing is to understand the other side really, really well so that you understand their motivations and what's important to them and what they value, because that gives you scope to give things that you don't care about so much and they care about a lot. So I'm going to lose something. I'll give you an example. There are companies I bought, they go, we want to leave our name on the company. I'm like, I didn't care. I'm like, well, I could do that, but I'd like something else that's important to me. Like, I can't even think of what it would be, but that kind of trading of I'm losing things and you're losing things. We both lost things that we thought might be important, but they were the less important things to us. And that allowed us to build a scenario where everybody was more or less happy. Like I didn't get everything I wanted, but I'm kind of okay with it. Almost nobody walks away from a negotiating table and go, I got everything I wanted. And the other guy goes, I got everything I wanted. I've never seen that happen. So you have to go in saying, I'm going to lose some things that are hopefully not too important to me. They'll do the same. And that's where a deal sits. And I think this idea of winning a negotiation is unstable. And that's why I like lose-lose, because you can't, if you're win-lose, you're using force somehow. Like I've leveraged my position or they're in a difficult position and I used to work with a guy that was a win-lose negotiator and he was a horrible human being. So the minute he got a deal done, he was working his way through the contract to try to unwind it and screw the other guy. And they were never stable deals. And so I think win-win can be stable because it's balanced, right? They're uncommon. Lose-lose, where we both lost a little bit, we're kind of okay with the answer. That's a really stable deal because I felt like I gave something, they gave something. We both put some skin in the game. It's neutral, it's stable. There was no force used, and that deal can last. So that's why I like lose-lose negotiating, because if you go in thinking win-win, you're like, the bar's too high. I'm going to get the price I want and the terms I want, and it just doesn't work like that. So lose-lose.
You definitely like these catchy titles and sayings. Lazy CEO, lose-lose negotiating.
Yeah, I have a friend who used to say it's an interesting way to organize a brain.
So my favorite question, since a lot of founders and entrepreneurs listen to this podcast, when it comes time to exiting, and you've done several of your own and have definitely advised on probably dozens, if not close to 100 at this point, what are some of the best practices you've seen founders put into place in order to maximize the results for everybody involved?
Yeah. So, boy, how long is this podcast? Yeah.
Well, just stick to 3.
Yeah. Okay.
3 best practices.
Well, one is if you intend to sell and exit, you need to obsolete yourself. And you did this marvelously well, as we talked about before. I have CEOs that go, Yeah, I've obsoleted myself, but yeah, when they do the management presentations to a potential buyer, they're in the room and they answer all the questions. And the buyers immediately figure out this individual is key to the business. They can't go anywhere. So you're not going to, check it out and go to Aruba and sit on the beach. It's not happening. You're going to hang around for 2-3 years, at least in transition. So you got to make yourself obsolete by elevating and delegating other people so they can run the business, not 100%, but 90% without you involved on a daily basis. I used to ask the question, what would happen to your business if you went on vacation for a month?
Mm-hmm.
And they go, oh, I don't know what would be left. I'm like, well, then you're not quite ready here, right? So that's one. I think the other is recurring revenue. I'm a fan of recurring revenue. It is the biggest single value driver in getting maximum value for your company. One company with 0% recurring revenue, we got to go hunt it, kill it, and process it every single year like a contractor or something. Those businesses don't get great valuations. You look at high recurring revenue businesses like termite control, where they come every month and it's a subscription, or ADT home services, or software as a service. There's a reason why they moved to this model. It's more predictable. It's high margin. It actually matches the benefit profile of the client. People don't think about it this way, but the client gets benefit of your product every month and they pay for it every month. Like it just makes sense instead of give me a big chunk of money once a year. Recurring revenue. There are private equity firms where their entire investment thesis is, you have recurring revenue, we want to buy you. In fact, I had one private equity I worked with. They had a bumper sticker, like, we heart recurring revenue. They handed them out. Like, it was really clear what they wanted. So if you have got 10, go to 20. You've got 20, try to get to 40. You've got 40, try to go to 80. Modify your business model to get recurring revenue.
Percent, you mean? 10%, 20%.
Pardon me, percent. Yes, pardon me, percent. And then I think the final one is leave some meat on the bone. Meaning, if you have maximize the business on every level and there is not really another move to make, it's not that interesting a business for somebody. They've got to be able to buy it and say, I see what we can do with this business to make it even better than it already is. So you got to paint a picture. This is the sizzle of incremental expansion, or products that have been released and haven't fully utilized yet and haven't grown to their maximum potential. So you got to leave some upside opportunity for the next buyer, or you're going to have a hard time interesting them. And maybe just the last one is, don't show me hockey stick projections. So every time, and I looked at one the other day.
If we could only have 5% market share of this $1 trillion industry.
They go, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 12 million, 20 million, 30 million. I'm like, why don't you hang on to it for 3 years and then sell it? And that's the good question. Like, if you really think that's going to happen, why don't you just hang on to the business? So hockey sticks are, unless there is a really, really, really crystal clear driver with no risk in it, don't show me a hockey stick, because you lose all credibility when you do that. So like, the minute you sell it, it goes up. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So those would be a couple of get ready sort of things.
No, those are all great suggestions. Hey everyone, just a quick break from the show to review the top 3 things that I talk to many founders about that are looking to maximize the valuation during an exit. 1, are your books in order? 2, is there enough growth left in the business for the acquirer? And number 3, what is your sizzle? What is that special sauce that's going to take many years for a competitor to recreate? If you have those 3, you're definitely going to be maximizing your valuation upon exit. Now back to the show. So I'm switching topics for a second because you actually quoted me in this masterpiece. Your other book, Professional Drinking.
Yep.
What was the motivation to write a book about drinking?
What did I quote you on?
You quoted me on the best vodka to use in your martinis is Russian Standard,
which is not expensive,
and I'm not available anymore. But
really,
hopefully that'll change.
Dang, that's because of Russia. Yeah,
because of the war. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, but it was like half the price of anything else, and it's fine. It's perfectly good vodka, right? I'm a continual learner. So and I like wine and I enjoy going to dinner and whatnot. And I had some friends who were just super knowledgeable about wine. And I was always not jealous, but I'm like, I'm playing with people that just know so much more than I do. I need to up my game. And I tried to read books and stuff, and it just never sunk in. So I decided, and this is like when I was running a lot, I would enter races because I would use the race to motivate me to do my running, to enter a marathon or a half marathon or whatever. Same thing here. I said, I signed up for the introductory sommelier class. I went, I passed. And then I said, well, now I'm going to become a certified sommelier, which took about 2 years of tasting and theory and so forth. And I passed it. I go, okay, now what am I going to do with this? That was fun. I said, well, I have 30 years of business entertaining experience, and now I know all this stuff about wine. Why don't I combine those two in a book? And it really came from, we work with CEOs, and you take these masters of the universe, like decision makers and complex issues, and I hand them a wine list, and their hands start shaking, and the flop starts, and I'm like, this is weird that they don't know their way, and they order the Camus because they don't know anything else.
Correct.
So-
They order the brands which are most advertised.
And by the way, they're on the list for a reason because it's the safe move, but it's not the best wine you can get for that amount of money. There are other wines for less or the same money. They're better wines depending on what you're after. So the book was really about, first, I'll give you a couple of rules here out of the book. One is, if it's on a wine list at a decent restaurant, there is no bad wine. People worry, like, did I pick a bad wine or a good wine? I'm like, there's no bad wine. Close your eyes and point, you're fine. Maybe pick a price you want to spend, but a sommelier or a general manager has tasted every single one of those wines and made a decision to put it on the list. There's no bad wines. So don't worry about it. And it's wine. It's fun. Like, get over yourself, right? The second is, and this is one of my master tricks in the book, and I have a bunch of CEOs that use this. Most people don't know, they may not know the wine, but they know how much they want to spend. So I go, look, get the sommelier over, they're over your shoulder. You run your finger down the list. You're pointing at the prices. You come to the price you'd like to spend, $100 a bottle, $200, whatever your number happens to be. And you go, I'd like something from this region, please. The sommelier knows you want to spend $150 a bottle or whatever your number is. And they go, that's fine, sir. I can get you some from that region. What's everybody having for dinner? We're having the veal. I'm having this. I'm having that. Great. Let me get something from that region I think you'll really enjoy. And sommeliers love to do that. Like, I'll find you great values, fun wine that you never would have picked, and you guys are going to have a great time. So trust the somm. They're not going to upsell you generally. Some bad places do, but that's rare. You tell them 150, they'll stick right in around that range, and off you go. So that's the other trick. And I have a buddy who says, I use it all the time. People think I actually know something about wine.
I was hoping you would bring this up because I actually used this 2 weeks ago. I was at a dinner table. There was 10 of us, and it was my turn to buy wine for the week. I was away skiing, and I did exactly that. It was mostly Canadian wines, which I know nothing about. I know very little about other wines, but I know nothing about Canadian wines. And I did exactly that. I said, please give me 2 bottles of red from this region. And everybody's eyes immediately, they're like, wow, like he knows something about wines. I knew nothing about Canadian wines.
Hilarious. And these are all like high-end people that you're out with. I know the group you're with. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's fabulous.
It works every single time. It makes you seem like you know what you're talking about, and the sommelier gets it every time.
Yep. Perfect. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that story. So that may be the best tip in the entire book. There are others, but that's one of the good ones in my book.
Yep. So back to business for a second. You also believe that there's an opportunity to turn events into game-changing moves for your company. What do you mean by that?
This is about, when I talk about taking events and turning them into game-changing opportunities, it's really about crafting an experience for a client in a way that they're going to remember it and hopefully bring friends to your whatever you're doing. And so I'll give you an example. I was just talking to a guy who's doing this very, very high-end, very sophisticated ice cream business. And he's trying to raise money, and like he's having no luck because nobody gets what he's trying to do. It's almost a new category of very, very high-end, Japanese-inspired, beautiful design desserts. I'm like, look, what you need to do is have an event. Get 10 investors or potential investors, serve them the ice cream, give them the experience of this amazing high-end, super flavorful stuff that you make. Then you ask them for the money. And so the experience causes them to go, light bulb turns on, and they go, now I get what he's trying to do, and now I want to invest in it. But that's true anywhere. I'll give you a story I tell about Ritz-Carlton. As I was in the Ritz-Carlton it was actually in Dearborn. It's not there anymore. I pull up, guy pulls my luggage out of the back. He says, welcome to the Ritz-Carlton, Mr. Schleckser. We're glad you're here. I'm like, how the heck did this guy know I was coming, right? Then I go to the front desk. The woman there goes, welcome back to the Ritz-Carlton, Mr. Schleckser. We've changed the chocolate out to apples in your room, and we've got a foam pillow instead of feather. We know you prefer that. It'll be ready when you get to your room. I'm like, that's pretty amazing that they remember that about me. Later, I was looking for the gym. I was going to work out. Couldn't find it. And I asked a housekeeper, I said, where's the gym? And she goes, just a second. She puts away her cart, escorts me to the gym, hands me a water and a towel and says, have a good workout, sir. I'm like, that is amazing. What a great experience, right? But here's the thing. The guy in the front, there's SOP, standard operating procedures. Standard operating procedures, you pull the luggage out of the back, you look at the luggage tag, which I had on mine, and you greet the guest by name. He didn't know I was coming. He read my luggage tag. When he did that, I didn't notice it before, but he had a little microphone in his sleeve. Who do you think he was talking to?
Front desk.
The woman at the front. Exactly. So technology, so she knew I was walking in. When I walked up, she said, "Welcome back to the Ritz-Carlton, Mr. Schleckser. We're glad you're here." She had already pulled me up on the system, saw that I preferred fruit, saw that I preferred foam pillow, sent an order using all technology to housekeeping. They set that all up. And then the last one, so technology and SOPs working together to craft this amazing customer experience is not random. And the last one is the woman, the housekeeper. There's no rule about that. There's no SOP about escorting people to the gym, but they have values and culture. And the motto at the Ritz-Carlton is ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. So she goes, what would a lady or gentleman do when somebody asks to the gym? Well, you escort them to the gym. That's what you do. And so culture is for all the gray spots where the technology and the SOPs don't work. So when you're thinking about crafting customer experiences to change your business, to make it so good somebody else wants to bring their friends there, what are your SOPs? What is your technology? And what's your culture that drives that amazing experience? That's really what you're trying to create. Disney does this amazingly well.
Mm-hmm.
When the lines get long, characters start showing up, for pictures with the kids. That's not random. They see the lines are getting long. They know people are going to get mad, but then they're going to get a picture with Mickey Mouse. It's completely engineered. Every inch of it is engineered.
Agreed. Totally agreed. So speaking about events, there's a really exciting event that I'm planning that I would love for you to be a part of, but we'll get to that at the end. So that'll be a little teaser for anybody listening. Hold on. Let's jump real quick to the CEO project. I mean, obviously it's near and dear to my heart, and I'll share that in a minute after you explain why you started it and what it is and what the benefits are for members.
Yep. So I as I ran various companies, I was members of peer groups, and I found immense value for complicated, difficult decisions. And the problem is, as the business gets more complex, it's not a one-person game anymore. You need help around you. You need infrastructure around you to be successful. And people go, well, that's my board. But the problem is your board is not a no-consequence environment. You can't walk in and go, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what I need to do here. I'm really not clear. You can't, right? But you can with a peer group. So what we build are these CEO peer groups of other like size, like complexity companies. That's very hard to find. Most people don't do that. We use this theory of constraints model to drive our decision-making. And we do it like we take your point of constraint into the group and we process it almost like a case study from MBA school. We're going to spend an hour plus digging deep on your topic, giving you feedback from people who are running similar complexity businesses. So they get it. It's not like I've got a $2 million scrapyard guy next to a $50 million, software as a service business. They can't help each other. But other $50 million companies, they go, okay, I don't totally get your business, but I get enough of it that I can really, really help you. The other thing we see is that because the groups are diverse, they're from different industries. We don't put people from the same industry together. Breakthrough thinking comes from outside your industry, not inside. And so when a person who sort of grew up in the marketing side listens to how you're going to market, they go, and you're a technologist, they go, Stephen, why do you do it like that? Why don't you do this other thing? I'll give you an example. Years ago, I was trying to modify how we did things at the CEO Project. We did a lot of cold outreach in those days. I talked to a friend of mine, genius marketing guy, and he goes, why would you want to talk to somebody who doesn't want to talk to you? I'm like, man, that's a damn good question. Completely changed our model because of that one interaction with a guy who's a super duper market, which I am not. So that's the other. And then the final piece. So there's the membership, which is unique and like size, like complexity, all CEOs running similarly complex businesses like you are, up to a few $1 billion we go up to, which is also a bit rare. Very rigorous methodology based on theory of constraints in the book, Great CEOs Are Lazy, as well as other tools that we've developed. And finally, all of our advisors are former CEOs. So they're not like therapists, which a lot of coaching models are. I'm going to ask questions until you figure out what your problem is, right?
That's so true. So true.
How does that make you feel, Stephen? I mean, we just don't do that.
Tell me more.
We'll listen until we kind of understand it. And then we'll go, hey, here's what I think is going on. And here's what I think you might want to consider doing. So we'll actually give real advice as opposed to therapy. And so those are the differentiators. And to your point, we've taken people from making a couple $1 million a year to making $70 million a year in profit, massive growth, really significant life-changing money on exits, making their businesses great places for their people to work and have career trajectory and development opportunities. And our goal is to positively impact 1 million lives through the work we do. And cumulatively, we're way over that, but we kind of are looking on an annual basis, and we still got a bit of growing to do to get to 1 million at this point.
So you want to positively impact 1 million lives by impacting the CEOs of the companies that they work for.
You got it. And we figure if you got a better CEO, your job security's higher, You're going to make more money over time. You can buy that F-150 pickup truck or send your kids to college or whatever your thing is, right? So yeah, we are positively affecting all of those lives. And we're not curing cancer here, but we are making their lives better in a small way.
I don't mean this to be a shameless plug, but I became a better CEO because I was a member of the CEO project for 8 years. The experience was incredibly valuable. And to Jim's point, I was amazed, that I was able to offer a lot of good advice to folks that were outside my industry and received really great advice from other CEOs that were outside my industry. And one of your selling points, which I love and I've repeated a couple of times, is if you're in any sort of advisory program currently, look around the room. If you're the smartest person in that room, providing all great advice to others, you're not getting maximum value from that experience. And we pride ourselves at the CEO Project to make sure that you're not the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, I mean, you might be for little periods of time, but not across the board. There's just too many good people. We're really careful about who we work with to try to make that happen.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. Let me share with you the event that I just briefly mentioned. I'm looking to create an executive retreat in Ecuador that involves a lot of, obviously, information sharing on a bunch of executive topics similar to what we just discussed and a lot more, but also while going through beginner mountaineering training on one of the volcanoes in Ecuador. So
Wow.
consider yourself formally invited to share on the executive coaching side of this experience.
Okay. Well, Stephen and I have climbed a mountain, one of the highest ones in the world. Well, on one of the continents, we did Kilimanjaro together, but there was no exposure. So as long as I don't have like lots of air under my feet, I could probably be interested.
Nope. There's no exposure and there's no experience necessary. So this is like entry-level mountaineering skills I was there earlier this year. It's just a phenomenal environment to get some great skills in and incredible culture. And what we're going to be offering on top of that is some executive coaching on topics that I'm sure founders and CEOs will be interested in hearing.
Fabulous. Color me interested.
Fantastic. Jim, thank you so much for sharing all of this information that you have today. You're a wealth of knowledge on everything entrepreneur related. Where can folks learn more information about you and the CEO Project?
So you can find me on Jim Schleckser on LinkedIn. There's only one Jim Schleckser. Or you could go to theceoproject.com and you can learn all about what we do with CEOs. And if you're interested, reach out to us there.
Fantastic. Thank you again for taking the time today so close to New Year's.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody for listening and tuning in to another episode of the Built to Finish podcast. If you like this episode, please do like and subscribe. It definitely helps the show a lot and really appreciate you tuning in today. Until next time.
That's a wrap for this episode of Built to Finish. Thank you for tuning in. For show notes and more details, head over to podcast.stephenpivnik.com. Special thank you to our sponsor, Acresis, offering tailored, high-impact advisory services that help founders get to their finish line with a strategic acquisition or majority investor recapitalization. Catch you next week.